interested in photography, still photography, and took some classes in high school, and then loved to do it. Got a little bit commercial. Well, still while I was in high school, I would go around knocking on doors asking people if they wanted pictures taken of their kids, and took pictures for the local newspaper. And then I decided, after walking into a steel mill, that I was going to have to go to school and I would learn cinematography or photography, which I went to the New York Institute of Photography while working at J&L Steel, and came out of there and got a job for a gentleman in Pittsburgh with a company called Warren Associates, making quantity photographs. I met George and Russ Striner, and joined up with those guys at the Latent Image, and I was in charge of doing stills and lighting and taking care of the equipment. And eventually I worked my way into shooting. George liked what I did, and became the DP, George's DP. I believe I had left the Latent Image for a while because of some conflicts, personality conflicts with a couple of the people there, and had started freelancing and working myself as a still photographer and shooting commercials for TV stations. And I think it was Russell that actually contacted me and said that what they were going to do, they were going to make a feature film, and I don't remember at the time if they knew what the title was going to be or anything else, and asked me if I wanted to put some money into it and work on it. And I agreed, of course, and that's what I did. I bought some shares for, I think, $300 a share, what it was, and started showing up while they were shooting it, and got involved quite a bit by acting and shooting some of it and lighting it. Well, that's always the biggest problem with shooting low-budget films, is your lighting package is never big enough, and that is always a problem. I had it with almost every film I did over the years as a DP or a director. The lighting package just never seems big enough. And a lot of times that's one of the reasons it's not big enough, is because your power supplies are not big enough. And when you start having to use generators, which are very, very expensive, that kills your budget. So you try to do everything you can not to use a generator, and that starts to limit your power. And I think, for instance, if you have a 2K, which is 2,000 watt light, you can plug it into a wall outlet that is a 20 amp breaker. A lot of amps and a lot of breakers in houses are 20 amps. But if you take a 5K, which is the next step up, or a 4K, which is you're doubling in that, you're not going to find a breaker in the house big enough to handle that. And most boxes in houses are not going to handle that. So that's always the biggest problem, your night shooting. We had a big problem with Night of the Living Dead, of course, lighting up fields. And every night scene is always a challenge. If you're not used to being involved in the film industry, it's a hurry up and wait type of business. You'll set a camera up and you'll get your actors positioned, and they'll do rehearsals, and then finally you're ready to shoot it, and you'll shoot it one time, and you'll get that shot. Then you'll change the camera to another position and shoot it again, and get that shot. Then you'll change the camera to another position and shoot the same thing over again from another position, and you continue doing that until you get enough positions that for editing purposes. And then you go to the next scene, and it's all over again. Meanwhile, the people that are setting up that scene, the lighting people and the sound people, pretty much sitting around waiting for the next scene to be shot before you move. The routine of shooting Night of the Living Dead was pretty much a routine of shooting any kind of film. You get there and you do your makeup and so forth, or you're working on the crew and you're just getting the setups flying in and so forth, and you just keep at it until people decide it's too tired to continue. The film industry itself is like a 10-hour day is norm. 8-hour day is not norm. 10-hour day is norm, and even more norm is a 16-hour day, and that's usually the way it goes. Working for a fellow by the name of Bob Bowman, and I was taking photographs for him, and I would run all over the place taking photographs of scenes of accidents, houses that were burnt and stuff like that. And he allowed me to have the time to spend most of my time up in Evans City or wherever. I think the only time I couldn't go and get involved was the trip to Washington, D.C. I would have loved to go on that, but I didn't get a chance to do that one. A memorable person to me was Vince Cervinsky. It was because he was like part of the Latent image. In fact, when I did Flesh Eater 20 years later, 20 years later, I was going to shoot a couple of the kids in the film who were the leads in the film, and I called Vince to come up and do it. And he, I don't know, Bill. But he finally agreed, and he came up and did it. And I said, after he shoots them, I said, Vince, I want you to turn to the camera and say, to the other guys and say, I'm really getting good at this. He said, you really want me to say that? Yeah, Vince, I want you to say that. It was our own little private joke in the film. But, yeah, he was a great guy. He was just, Vince would do anything you asked him to. And he was really a great, great guy. This here is my little graveyard zombie, #1, action figure. For all these years, 40 years, I finally got an action figure. A little zombie.